What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to Huddle to Hardwood, and my name is Jacob.
My name is Holden, and today we are going to be reacting to the latest AP Top 25 basketball poll.
So we're just gonna be going through each 25 of the 25 teams. We're gonna assess whether we think it's fair, a fair ranking or not. And yeah, so to get right into it, first off, no surprise here. Number one, Duke. Do we think that's fair or not fair? I think,
Yeah,
yeah.
they pretty much they swapped with Michigan after one versus three played each other, and essentially they both switched. Um, I didn't get to watch the game personally. Um, I I mean I think you did, right? Did
Yeah, I
you?
watched the game. I thought like Duke just at the end of the day, Duke just had more talent than Michigan did. I mean, it was just as simple as that. I mean, Michigan had a tough, tough game. Definitely tough shooting, but Duke was just overall the better team, and that was that. So moving on to number two, Arizona. Do we think that's fair?
Yeah, I do, and I know some Michigan fans will be pissed that they lost the game and they dropped down to number three, but I think it's valid. I mean, Michigan and Arizona both have the same record now, and I mean, it's not arguable. Arizona by far has a better resume than Michigan, so
Yeah.
I think it's very rightfully so that Arizona would be put at that number two spot, especially coming off a win against Houston. So.
Who was number two at the time too. So I think it's absolutely fair. I don't think Michigan really has any claim to number two. I think going into them, I think they're fine at three.
Mhm.
With my, of course, my bias, I could have seen them going down to four, but I think three is a fair ranking.
Anything lower than three, I don't think would have been fair for them.
No, it wouldn't,
They've
but I
lost
would
two
love to
games
see
the
it.
entire year.
Yeah, I would have loved to see it, but I don't know if it'd been fair. All right, moving on to number four, Iowa State. Fair or not?
Um, this one's a little weird. So they actually last week were ranked number six, and they in their last four games, and well, I think technically this week they went 1-1. Week before that they went 1-1. So back-to-back weeks they split their games. They just came off a loss to BYU. But then before that, they beat Houston, and then the week prior to that, they lost to TCU while also beating Kansas. I just think it's rather interesting that you can go 2-2 in a stretch and then move up from number six to number four. I feel like it would make more sense just for them to kind of stay where they're at, not necessarily drop or go down. It is kind of weird that they went up two spots, but
Yeah, I absolutely disagree with their ranking. I do not think they should be number four. With I just don't understand how you can move up when you lost a game. I understand like there's situations where you lose one, but you win a really good game. But in those situations, you should just stay still because it happened to Michigan State earlier this year. We lost to a really bad Minnesota team and we came back and beat Illinois. We stayed put. I thought that was absolutely fair because you can't reward us for losing to Minnesota, but you can't punish us for beating Illinois. So I think it's kind of one of those situations, especially in a 2-2 stretch. I think they should have, at the minimum, stayed where they were at, not move up at all. Moving on to number five, Houston. Fair or not?
I like them at five. They also had just a really tough week. They I think they went 0-2 this week, but they played Iowa State and they played Arizona. So they played two top four teams this week and just lost both of them. So I mean, I like them where they're at. Other than those two, they have a very impressive resume playing one of the best conferences in the country right now. And they're just overall very good team. They have one of the most prolific freshmen in the country right now in Kingston Flemings. And I think they're going to be scary come March. I'll probably pick them to go pretty far. I like where they're at number five.
All right. Yeah, I agree. UConn at six. Fair, not fair.
I mean, yeah, you can't really move them down because they haven't lost, but like if you go
They
to their schedule,
lost to
huh?
Crate. They just
They did
lost to
lose to
Creighton.
Creighton, yeah, they did. They
So
did.
for me, these two are gonna go hand in hand with six and seven. I'm gonna I'm gonna say. Not, I disagree with the ranking. I think Florida should absolutely be ahead of UConn. Florida's been super hot lately, and UConn play, I say this year in and year out, I don't think the Big East is a deep conference. I don't think they're a strong conference. And losing to a team like Creighton, who, I mean, would
Yeah.
be a bottom feeder in any league. So, or any of the power force conferences. But I think Florida's played better competition, and I think that they've been absolutely on fire recently, where even the wins that UConn has been having, they've been struggling to get those wins.
That's what
So
I was going to say too about them. Like if you look, that's what I was going to say. Before I forgot they lost to Creighton, I was going to say like they're winning games, but their games are like very close and ugly in the Big East. But the kicker is, I think what the committee probably was thinking was, I mean, it's tough to rank a team like Florida, for instance, above a team like UConn, who I think only has 3 losses on the season, where Florida already has like 6 losses.
yeah,
Like that's a pretty big gap to be putting them in the top 6. Um, but other than that, I mean, UConn's still a good team. I mean, I don't have like a huge issue like with them being 6 or rather than being 7. Like it's not that big of a deal, but
yeah, I agree with you, but they pick and choose when they want to do that, because like strength of schedule does matter, and I think that should always be a factor in this. And I mean, you have Florida's strength of schedule, which is better than UConn's,
not by
but
much though, surprisingly. SEC is pretty weak
yeah,
this
that
year.
yeah, but I mean, if we're counting just wins and losses, then Miami of Ohio would be a lot higher than what they are because I mean they haven't lost a game all year. So strength of schedule does matter. I do like Florida over UConn. Um, but I just hate that they pick and choose when they want to help a team out, I guess. All right, well, moving on to number 8, Purdue.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I mean,
I mean, I
they've
think
been
they're overrated, but I guess I don't really have an argument for.
I think that's the right spot for them with the teams under them. They've been playing pretty well recently. Um, I mean, I would put them above teams like Virginia and Nebraska right now. Illinois, we'll talk about them in a second. Gonzaga, they don't play anybody. And the team that they did play this year, they lost by 42. So that
Yeah,
like they don't play anybody. We'll talk about them in a second. They're always like that. But I like where Purdue's at. Big game against them from the MSU side of things on Thursday. That could be a very big swing for us, very big momentum builder, possibly big seeding implications, not just in the Big Ten, but for March Madness. So I do like where they're at, though. They've been playing really well. Braden Smith, TKR, Fletcher Loyer has been playing pretty well lately. He had a really tough stretch in the middle of the season, and now he's shooting the ball really well. I think they're starting to click and play a lot better since their 3-game losing streak they had recently, or not recently, but like a couple weeks
yeah.
ago.
I mean, like I said, I mean, I think they're overrated. However, I don't have an argument on why they should be lower or higher. So I think it's a fair ranking. Moving on to Gonzaga, absolutely should not be in the top 10. Played absolutely no one. Their key wins are Kentucky and St. Mary's, and I'm probably missing someone, but they
And
play
Cleveland.
absolutely no one. And they're just over glorified every single year. And I absolutely disagree. And especially with them being a 3 seed in the tournament, I believe. I absolutely disagree with it. They absolutely should not be there.
I don't really have much to say other than that. Like it's the same story every year. Like at some point, they're like the to me, I see Gonzaga as like Notre Dame is in college football. Like they're everyone holds them in a high and mighty place, but yet they're too scared to join a real conference and play actual teams consistently, not just picking choosing their schedules, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes. Sometimes they shine in March when they have better teams, like they've made it far before, but more times than not, they very underwhelm when it comes to their
Yeah.
seeding.
No, absolutely. Moving on to number 10, Illinois.
This one's interesting. They were number 10 last week, and they're number 10 this week after blowing a 23-point lead to UCLA, who just came off back-to-back 30-point losses in the state of Michigan. And somehow Illinois doesn't move down a single spot. I think that's rather interesting. And they are actually fully healthy now. They got Kylan Boswell back, who's been out ever since Keaton Waugh has been going off. He came back, and then magically they blow a 23-point lead. So I don't know what the deal is with that. I think it's just tough though, because at the same time, like I said about Purdue, I don't see the teams other than us, like, because we beat them. So we beat them in the head to head. But like, I don't think Virginia's better than them. I don't think Nebraska's better than them. So like, it's kind of hard to move them any lower.
I mean, the way I look at it, because like I mean, if we're talking records too, and like you were saying, you can't have up here, you can't have a 16, a team with 6 losses be ranked higher than a team with 3 losses. If you look down here, Illinois has 6 losses, and the 3 teams ranked below them. Virginia only 3 losses,
Yeah.
Nebraska only 4 losses, Michigan State only 5 losses. So I really, in my opinion, I think it's crazy for one that Illinois didn't even move down a little bit because it's not like the situation I was talking about earlier where you lose a bad one but win a good one and you just stay put. They just lost, and I feel like they just forgot about them somehow. Like so, in my opinion,
They've
I
lost three
think
out of five too. They've lost three
yeah.
out of five.
And like
Mhm.
I think Virginia should be 10, Nebraska 11, Michigan State 12, and Illinois 13. That's how I think it should be. I think it's insane that a 6 loss team is ranked ahead of teams that have less losses than not only at that, like a lot less losses than them. So I'm speaking about Virginia in that term. Like Virginia should absolutely be ranked ahead of them, considering they have 3 less losses. But anyways,
Um, yeah. Yes, moving on to number 11, Virginia. I haven't spent a lot of time on them this year, haven't really paid attention to how they're doing. I just know that they're playing good in a very, very weak conference in the ACC. It's probably the weakest of the Power Four right now.
it is
Um,
year in and year out, I would say. Every
which it
year.
has been the last couple of years. Usually, like it's like ACC, SEC, like Big Ten or something like that. But you, the last couple of years, ACC's been uh, down a little bit. So I mean, I don't think Virginia's really playing anyone. I don't really know any much about their team, but at the same time, you can't fault them for winning the games in front of them. They have 3 losses, so I mean, I'm not really mad about their spot, but
Um, I mean, I'm not gonna really comment about Virginia, Nebraska, or Michigan State because I kind of already gave my spiel for them. I think that all of them should be ranked 1 spot higher, and Illinois dropped to 13. But yeah. Do you want to move on to just Michigan State's ranking, or do you?
yeah, I mean, we can touch on it. I'm honestly surprised that. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, we went 2-0 this week. One game looked pretty good. Last game was kind of
Yeah.
but we're still coming off a very rough stretch recently. I'm just, I mean, I'm grateful that we moved up a little bit, but I wouldn't have been surprised if we didn't move. So I'm not surprised that we didn't go any higher than 13. I think it's respectable. Gives us room to keep moving up if we beat Purdue this week. But I think it's a good spot for us. Nothing
Yeah.
much really to say
I
there.
mean, I not too like happy or too sad about a ranking. It's fine. Like I said, I think we should be 12, but I also understand that we realistically probably shouldn't have even moved at all. But I mean, yeah, like you said, I'm grateful where we're at. Moving on to Kansas at 14.
Yeah, so Kansas, they were at 8 this previous week, and then they dropped down 6 spots after losing by, I think, nearly 20 points to a pretty bad
And
Cincinnati team
uh,
with Darren Peterson in the lineup. It seems like whenever he is in the lineup, the team plays worse. I did see a crazy stat that in their last like 4 to 5 games, I think he has like 3 total assists. I think when he's in there, he just ISO ball dribbles around, shoots, and then he'll just sub out of the game whenever he wants or just makes up an excuse not to play. I think Kansas is a really good team overall, but their locker room is just shot right now, just with all the outside noise that's going on. I do not really know what's going on with DNP, as they like to call him. do not play Peterson. So I don't really know. They're a good team. I think they'll be scary in March. I wouldn't want to play them, but there's just a lot of like team issues going on with there that I think will hurt them in the long run. But they also have a very good resume and they were hot recently up until this loss. So it is it's unfortunate they lost one game and then dropped 6 spots, but I think they're probably right around where they should be.
Yeah, I think it's fair ranking. Yeah, it was kind of they were getting really hot at the right time, and then something just happened this week. I could go on a whole hour rant on the whole Darian Peterson situation, and um, yeah, I'll leave it at I don't know how Bill Self puts up with it. I don't know why he doesn't just shut him down and make an example out of him that no one's bigger than the program. And I'm just gonna leave it at that and move on to the next because, like I said, I could go on a whole rant with it. But moving on to number 15, St. John's.
Yeah, they've been pretty steadily riser the last couple weeks, I hear. I think they kind of they haven't been really talking about them that much. I haven't really heard much coverage on them, but then just looking into it earlier, they are right on UConn's heels for the conference championship there. I think they're like a half game or a game behind them, and I think they play here pretty soon. So they're actually been sneakily playing really well since their kind of rocky start to the season. Now climbing all the way up to the top 15. You can't really, I mean, it'll be interesting down the stretch, especially with who they have coaching. You can't really count out Rick Pitino. I know they had a little bit of an early exit last year, but um, very interesting because they got a lot of good transfers. Like their team's almost completely different with just straight transfers. But I like, I mean, I like I said, I haven't watched them that much this year, but it's interesting that they've climbed their way all the way up back to 15.
Yeah, I mean, I watched them once this year, and that was the game that they beat UConn in the Garden. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm never really too impressed with St. John's, but I mean, I was right about them last year, and I mean, we'll see what they do this year. But I guess it's a fair spot. I mean, I don't really have anything to say about them other than that. Moving on to 16, Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, yeah. I mean, unfortunate for them. They just lost their best player for the season, torn ACL. Really unfortunate. JT Toppin was having an absolute bomb of a year. Like he's been balling all year this year, just dropping 30 and double digit rebounds left and right. Like he was what stirred the drink over there. Um, so I'm interested to see how that affects them for the rest of the season. They do still have a an all-American level point guard in Christian Anderson. He's a really good point guard, really good scorer. I think just in the recent game he put up like 29 points and they scored 100 as a team with their the first game without JT Toppin. So I think they're still a team to look out for, but a significantly worse team without JT Toppin, obviously. So you might see them drop a little bit more in the next coming weeks, especially with the tough conference that they have.
Yeah, I mean, Big 12 is probably the best conference in the country, and it just sucks that that JT Toppin went out. But I mean, we'll see what they do in March. But moving on to Bama, moving up 8 spots.
Yep, they've been playing hot recently. Only reason I am necessarily rooting for them is because I had a futures bet place at the beginning of the season that they need to win the SEC, and they've been hot recently. And I think they're 2 games behind Florida now, so I think they play Florida here soon. I'm pretty sure it could be wrong, but let's hope Florida drops a couple and Alabama keeps winning. Other than that, I have a sour taste in my mouth with Alabama this year, the way that they've been trying to bring back Charles Bediako. Then the courts took him back out, and now I just heard he's trying to appeal again to play again. Just constantly bringing back G League players. So I don't know. That's going off on a tangent. So I mean, I Alabama's got a lot of talent on their team besides that. So they're always going to be a scary team offensively to look out for. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I think it's a fair ranking. However, I wish the absolute worst for Alabama basketball. I hope they are a first round bounce for trying to ruin the integrity of the game. Um, yeah. Moving on to North Carolina. They just had a tough loss on the road to NC State.
State Trey Hollins. It's crazy.
And
Um, anyways, yeah. UNC, I mean, they still have a lot of talent on their team. They did just lose Caleb Wilson. I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but if he's still out for an extended period of time for the end of the season, that's going to hurt them. And their ranking and then their March Madness seeding, but they still have a lot of good wins on their belt. I think they're a talented team. I think they're right where they should be around 18.
yep, I agree. And then moving on to BYU. They had a rough February. They've lost a lot of very like highly competitive games. I think they're fine where they're at. They just beat Iowa State, I believe. Um, and I mean, AJ DeBansa is, in my opinion, the should be the number one overall pick in this year's NBA draft. Yeah, he's just hooping, man. I don't really got much else to say.
He's really fun to watch. He's probably right next to Cam Boozer, the most pro-ready player I think I've seen in college basketball this year. Um, and he's the type of player that I absolutely do not want to see in the tournament because he's one of those guys that can just make a magical run in the tournament. They got enough talent on their team next to him with Rob Wright. I know they lost Richie Saunders; he's out for the year, but
I
just
forgot that.
yeah, AJ Debanza by himself, like he can just go put up 40 whenever he wants, and he could just run into a night where you just can't stop him. He's big; he can literally do everything on the floor. So I think I think they're just a scary team alone, just with him on their team. So I think they could beat anybody on any given night just with him by himself. But yeah, like you said, they had a rough stretch, and then came off a good win, so they rose a couple of spots, but I think they're properly ranked here. And then honestly, I don't really want to touch too much on the next five here.
I
Um,
want to touch on one of them.
yeah, we
Um,
can.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say Arkansas. They've been around this ranking most of the year. Um, Calipari's team has a lot of young guards that are good. I like Darius Acuff. He's probably going to be a lottery pick as well this year. Um, they're a solid team. They could get hot, but it's not a team I would necessarily worry about too much. I think it's just too many young guards. I don't know if they'll have enough necessarily get them over the hump. And I think the team you were trying to talk about was Miami of Ohio. Them being still undefeated this far into the season is impressive. I think they're 28 and 0, 27 and 0.
And,
It's
and
interesting. It seems like they're going up one spot every week. Interested to see how far they get up by the end of the season. But
yeah, I
yeah,
mean, they okay. This is what my whole thing about it. Going 27 and 0 and going undefeated is insane regardless of what level you're playing at. It could be D1, D2, D3, high school, doesn't matter. Going undefeated is one of the toughest things to do in sports, and I think it's absolutely insane the disrespect Miami's getting. For one, they're not, I think they should be in the top 15. Um, because I mean, look at Gonzaga. They play the same level of competition
it's
that
not the
Miami
same thing.
does. But I mean, I don't know. It's definitely a hot take, but the part that's not should not be a hot take is the fact that they're a fringe bubble tournament team. If I think it's absolutely insane that there could be a team that goes undefeated in the regular season, doesn't win their conference championship, and could be left out of the tournament.
Yeah,
I think it would be a disgrace to basketball. This team could be something special in March. I mean, you never know. They could be a first round bounce, but I mean, very well could be something special. And I think and they're trying to put in Auburn in there, who's damn near 500.
yeah,
And I don't think you should put a Auburn team in there instead of Miami, Ohio. And I understand their level of competition isn't the same. However, it's hard to ignore the fact that they're undefeated.
yeah. I see what you're saying with leaving them out of the tournament, trying to leave them out. I think it'd be crazy if like just another team from the MAC gets in over them. Um, but with your when you're trying to compare it to Gonzaga, that's where I disagree with you a little bit because there is definitely a very different talent gap between Miami and Gonzaga, just with the players that are on
Oh
Gonzaga
yeah.
versus. I understand what you're saying, but that they're playing similar level competition. But I'm taking Gonzaga 20 times out of 20 against
Oh yeah.
Miami of Ohio.
Because I mean,
But
Gonzaga gets all the recruits and everything
yeah,
year in and year out. So talent, I'm not comparing them talent wise because I think Gonzaga would win that game. I'm more talking about competition in the conference because the level of competition that Gonzaga plays is on the same level of MAC competition with some exceptions here and there. With like St. Mary's, who's so like it's usually just Gonzaga and St. Mary's out of that conference that's any good.
this year it's like Santa Clara, I think, who's like that St. Mary's kind of team.
Yeah, well,
But
St. Mary's was almost in the top 25 this week. They were ranked 27th. Um I yeah, I don't know. That's just my kind of take on it. I know that talent level and recruiting everything, Gonzaga has that by a mile, but in terms of conference play, they play the same level of competition in the conference, and Gonzaga's praised for beating Helen Keller's School of the Blind, while Miami is beats the same level of competition, and all of a sudden, oh, they're not as good. I don't know. I think they should be absolutely be a tournament team, regardless if they
yeah,
win their tournament or not. But
I think the only other cool story I want to touch on is St. Louis. I think St. Louis has had a pretty entertaining year so far. Robbie Avila, if people don't remember him, he was the big man with the goggles that played on Indiana State a year ago, 2 years ago. He followed his coach over to St. Louis, and now they're balling out over there. I think this is Robbie Avila's last year. When they were balling out on Indiana State, they just barely missed the tournament. I think there was an argument that I can't remember what team made it over them, but people were pretty mad that they didn't make the tournament just because they barely lost their conference tournament and then didn't make it in, but they dominated the regular season. They almost I mean, I went to the game where they played Michigan State that year, and they played us tight the whole game, and they looked like a tournament level team. They didn't make it, so I'm rooting for St. Louis to get Robbie Avila into the tournament, and I think he'd be fun to watch in there. But
yeah,
I,
that same year they I'm pretty sure they made it pretty far in the NIT. But yeah, do you have any other thoughts?
I like where the other teams are at, and I think we can start to wrap it up here. Um, Maybe it's something we can try to do weekly on Mondays. We can just react to the AP Top 25 and then be able to flip it maybe into going through the brackets and stuff like that when it gets closer to March. But
Yeah, we'll definitely
yeah,
have that content out. But thank you for watching and go green.